Hello everybody, this is Steve, your everyday guy, and in today's video we're going to cover the installation of the Badlands Apex 1200-pound winch available at Harbor Freight. Before we get into the video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to leave a comment. This video is a continuation of a previous video I had, which is an unboxing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference that down below the video in the description, so if you want to see the unboxing, you can see that as well. Now let's get into that install. All right, so I've got my bumper all painted up, and so now we are ready to go ahead and attach the winch to it. There's two ways you can attach the winch. One, you can put the bumper on the vehicle and then the winch, or you can put the winch on the bumper. I thought it'd be easier because I've got this front part that I have access to here, and then of course on the underside, I'm gonna need to have access to these bolts right here. And so what I figured is that if I was to go ahead and install the winch before I put it on the vehicle, I'd have a lot easier access to those spaces. Now the downside is that when I go to install it on my vehicle, it's going to be a lot heavier. So pick your poison. First thing we're going to do is I've got two things to install. I've got the winch itself and the Fairlead. On this, I figured it'd be easier to install this onto the bumper first. That way it's going to free up all the space behind it for me to access the bolts, then do the winch. So the first things first, I've got my packet of pieces. Let me get those out. The hardware to hold the winch to the bumper is going to be galvanized, and for the Fairlead, it's going to be stainless steel. So there'll be a difference in color, and that's how you're going to tell them apart. And also, there's 4 bolts to hold the winch onto the bumper and 2 bolts to hold the Fairlead on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can get these up good and close. Have you take a look at that. Now you can see how one's shinier and the one's duller. The shinier is the stainless steel, and the duller is the galvanized, or the one that's more dull. I'm not exactly sure the correct way to say that. All right, so the tools we're going to need is that we're going to need a. I found out that the winch was standard English size. I thought it was metric because everything on my Jeep's going to be metric, but it's not. So I don't know what size. These are going to take an Allen wrench. What I don't know is I don't know what size it's going to be in SAE, but I do know that my 10 millimeter fits in just fine, which is good because I only have a 10 millimeter. I only have metric when it comes to this size. On the back side is going to be a 3/4. And I've got both the sockets and the wrench. I'm not sure which is going to fit it best. So I do realize you can't really see the back side, but I'm sure you probably know what it looks like to put a bolt and a nut on the back side. Just to let you know the order in which these are going. It's going to go bolts. Then on the back side, you're going to put your regular washer flush against the mount of the bumper, and the lock washer goes on top of that, and your nut goes between your lock washer and your regular washer. And usually what I recommend is hand tighten these as much as you possibly can first. Some people like to just put them on there and then use an impact to run them on. I strongly recommend against that, and the reason is that if you misalign those threads, you will strip them. So make sure that your wrench is turned the right way, which to tighten it is clockwise. So next we're going to put our wrench on the back and use our socket with our 10 millimeter Allen on the front. So 3/4 in the back, 10 millimeter in the front. So we're going to do that there. And we're going to do this one here. You want to use either the lock nut that came with it or some type of nylon. Wouldn't hurt to put some Loctite on as well. The reason is that if you're going to be going off-road or basically anywhere not paved, you're going to get a lot of vibration, and that can cause them to rattle off. You don't want that to happen. Make those good and tight. Also, on this one, I will let you know that they do have the torque specs in the manual itself. And on this step, it said the torque specs were 53 to 57 pounds of torque. So that's what the owner's manual recommends. All right, good news. I've got my Fairlead on. So what that means is that I am ready for my winch. So for that, we're going to use a 5/8 inch. All right, so this is the part that's going to get a little tricky. One thing is you want to make sure that you do have the correct way front. So since the bumper is a lot lighter than the winch, we're going to put the winch up there first. Now this is one of those times where if I was to have the bumper mounted to the vehicle first, it might be a little easier just because all you got to do is move this over and line it up and put it on. But since I don't have more room to do that, what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that my winch is facing the correct way because you don't want to put it on backwards. One thing, these little nuts slide right in there. Make sure those are lined up good before you try to fish your bolts through. And from there, we're going to line that up. Now we're going to do the same order. We've got, since we got to put the washer on the same side that we're putting the nut, go ahead and line those up. Remember, it's lock washer, regular washer, and then insert. All right. So we're going to do lock washer, regular washer. All right, we got 2 in. And those 2 are by far the easiest to do. Now we've got these ones back here, which are trickier, and the reason why I wanted to not wait till it was on the vehicle to do it. All right, so now we're going to take our 5/8 socket, and we've already got it in the tightening mode, so we're just going to tighten that right up. All right, so now we've got those snug. I'm going to go ahead and rest this face down. That way I don't have to hold it up and use all my energy for that. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these. It says to apply 33 to, let me double check my manual. Manual says the torque on these bolts is 30 foot to 33 foot-pounds. And remember, always check the specs in your manual. And don't assume just because mine says that yours will. All right. Okay. And remember, we are going clockwise to tighten these. Now we've got the winch on. On the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and attach our ground wire here. And we're going to do that, and the reason now because it is going to be very hard to get to once we have this on the vehicle. This is going to be a 1/2 inch nut. You do come with these little covers. I'm going to go ahead and use mine just because I like that little bit of extra added layer of protection. And the nut's going to be, all right, so what I've got here is I've got the wire that came with it and one little rubber boots that came with it. I'm going to go ahead and use that to cover up here. I'm leaving my control tower on top, so these would normally be saved if you weren't going to do that. Since I'm going to leave mine there, I'm going to go ahead and use this boot back here. And we're going to use that to cover up this. All right. The other thing is this is a 1/2 inch nut. So I'm going to take that washer off. Washer's going to go on there. And then this. And I'm going to point the wire downwards because I'm going to run it underneath the bumper up into the vehicle. There is 6 of these rivets, and they are located here, 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 and here. What we're doing is we've got the bumper and the winch mounted up. We've removed those rivets, so we've got our cabling, and what we're doing is we're fishing it up. See where we've pulled this back, we've fished both wires. It's real hard to get this to show up, but I'm gonna pull this back. There's a little opening under there. You don't want to run over this, you want to run under this because this is where your hood is going to go down. You don't want that chafing. So what we've done here is we run the wires along here and along here, and now we're getting ready to hook it up to the battery. One of the things we're doing right now is we are installing the switch along with it. And these cables just go in there and make the connection there. And I'll make the connection over at the battery. So I've got one cable. This is my on-off switch. I've got this hooked up, just going to go from here to the battery. And then this part is going to go from the winch to the switch. So here is my wire from the winch. Got that tightened up right there. All right, so this is our on-off switch. I've decided to go ahead and use it. I'm going to figure out a way to mount it to here somehow, but for now I'm just going to leave it setting in there, which should be fine. One of the weird things is that I'm going to show you a picture and how the bolts mount on the inside, and then you'll notice right here there's nothing to mount them on the outside. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've just used one extra bolt. I got 2 bolts to hold the cover on. I think that's going to be more than enough. We've got the positive run through here. We've got the negative disconnected, and the reason is that way if I accidentally make contact with the side of the vehicle, the negative's disconnected so it will not arc. So you want to make sure and disconnect that negative before you do anything. Because if this thing arcs, it could burn you badly or electrocute you or both. So now I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up. I think we're good there. Now the next thing we're going to do, that's the positive. So we're just going to fish that around there, put that back in place. The negative, we're going to run that around as well. All right, so we've got that snug. I'm going to clean this up later. For now, we're just going to run that as it is. And we're going to button it back up and we'll show you what it looks like. All right, so we're taking these and we're putting them back in. So we'll get the first one and the next one. Just going right down the list, or right down the line, popping these in. If I have trouble going in, just pull down a little bit more. All right, got my grill line back up. Now the last thing I've got to do is clean up the cords on the bottom. Well, I've gotten all the cords at the bottom cleaned up, and then I also got the front all buttoned up. And I gotta say, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I did it, powered on, fed it in and out, made sure it has power and it works properly. And by the way, you've made it this far, so you obviously like the video. So if you haven't hit that like button, go ahead and hit it right now. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe. That way you do get notified when my content comes out. I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. This is Steve, your everyday guy, and I'll catch you on the next one.